reaction to the loss?
A game is 40 minutes long. Today was 45 because we had overtime. And I feel like there was, the whole game is defined in those 45 minutes, but today there was a couple plays that, allowed Oregon State to get back in the game and then ultimately finish off winning. So it was a tough one. It's gut-wrenching, but, it could be used for momentum, to get back in the winner's circle and keep going.
I forget if you were out there or not, but what did you see in the breakdown in the last couple of minutes of regulation?
Oregon State got tired. They have a lot of size, but that kind of played into our favor because we have a lot of speed. We just did some things that favored to them, and we didn't execute our game plan as we prepared to. So, it showed that, and we only lost by 2. We won on the rebound battle. Turnovers killed us, and that was kind of the moral of the story.
I think you had 11 of your 21 points in overtime. Did that, did the bigger moment there, you feel like you needed to take over with Ty having fouled out and Hassan having fouled out and Gavin having fouled out?
Not necessarily. I just, I let the game come to me, but I was being more aggressive because, at that time it's like we don't have time to give. It's not like we're running out of time. It's just we don't have time to give. So I was just being aggressive, trying to make the right plays, and the ball was ended up going in the hoop tonight.
It doesn't get much easier. Up next, you got at St. Mary's. How do you guys assess this one, and how does that affect your momentum as you head up there?
I think this is one that we don't forget. It's something that we don't linger on, but, we let it leave a bitter taste. So when we go up to St. Mary's, we're playing with a chip on our shoulder. They're a very good team, very good program, but, it's not like we haven't competed with good programs before. So, again, it's something, we're going to go into that game with a chip on our shoulder, and, hopefully it could be road warriors and come out with the dub, not just against them, but LMU as well.
All right. Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Start with the opening statement.
Yeah, disappointed that we weren't able to close out this afternoon against Oregon State. Tip of the hat to the Beavers in terms of their opportunistic comeback and able to get a win on the road. But, really similar, almost a role reversal to the game the other night that we had against Pepperdine, where we were trailing and came back late to get a road win in overtime. And Oregon State flipped the script and did that today against us on our home court. So, within a couple days, as I shared with our players, this game can dramatically humble you. The highs and lows of it. You can go from a peacock to a feather duster, as a coach, Lou Carnesecca, Hall of Fame coach, used to often say about the highs and lows of this business. And so we'll have to learn from this, pull some things out. Our late game execution against their full court pressure played a factor. Our 20 turnovers over the course of the game was a season high, and that cost us those empty possessions where you don't get a shot on the rim, you don't give yourself a chance to get fouled, you don't give yourself a chance to get a second shot. And that was the biggest number statistically that jumped out to us. We did some good things. For the 5th time in 6 games, we out-rebounded Oregon State, who has good size, but we were +5 on the boards. We were equal in the paint in terms of our production there. We hit 9 threes, they hit 10 threes. So while there are some good things, we led for the majority of the game, but in those final minutes, the turnovers and not being able to get some key defensive stops was also a factor. There's some things in our coverages when it comes to guarding 3-point shooters. We had some breakdowns, and naturally when I watch the game tonight, there'll be some additional insights. This is just the blink after you've experienced it in real time for 2 hours. Then when you actually break down the film frame by frame, possession by possession, I'm sure there'll be some other elements, but the things that jump out were the 20 turnovers and the 3-point defensive coverage where we had some breakdowns there. But in building the 10-point lead, in overcoming some foul trouble that Hassan and Gavin and Ty were dealing with, I was really pleased for much of the game, but then we let it slip away. And so, got to go back to the drawing board, and it's a quick pivot, and we'll be headed to the Bay Area to play St. Mary's, and then coming back to Southern California and going up to Los Angeles to play Loyola next Saturday. So big week ahead.
Going back to that, just the last minute, 45 seconds of regulation.
Yeah.
What went into the breakdown there from your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get the ball in bounds on a key possession. I think we were up 3. They're naturally going to be in a situation where they're just going to foul us, and we had our best free throw shooters in the game. But we were called for an offensive foul, and so we didn't get it inbounds. And then again, back to the three-point defense in late game. We gave up some open looks, and again, that's no disrespect to Oregon State. They knocked down tough shots, but there were things defensively that we can remedy and correct and improve upon. But it's disappointing when you've got this moment, which was significant, a chance to get another win, and again, a complete flip of the script of what happened at Pepperdine, where we had a win, and now the exact opposite in a loss. So some good things, but things we need to improve upon clearly.
Do you feel like the officiating had an impact on the game? You had 3 guys foul out, and then there's the attack on Tyler and a couple other things.
Yeah, I mean, officials and umpires, have really difficult jobs. They're trying to do their best with the bang calls and the pace of a game. But there were, clearly some momentum changing calls, and that happens, and that's why as a coach, you always tell your team, you've got to be able to play through. You've got to be better than that, and never using officiating as an excuse. But naturally, there are games that are cleaner and better officiated. There's some that doesn't happen. Again, I'll have to go back and watch more closely the technical foul on Ty Lauer after the dunk. In my view, when you're out in front, you can't see who's behind you, and so it's instinctive and natural, and I think a good thing to want to protect yourself because the ball's bouncing beneath your feet, and there's trailing defenders that are chasing down that play. And to me, the correct judgment is to allow someone to prevent themselves from getting an ACL injury or coming down and breaking a leg where they could be out for the entire season. But again, I'll have to watch that when I get home tonight. And then there was, some other calls, but that was a big one, and there might have been a couple illegal screens that I felt, were called one way at one end of the court, and not consistently applied in terms of the interpretation of the rule when it comes to an illegal or legal screen. But again, I empathize with officials. Been in this business 38 years, seen a lot of games, and I know it's difficult to make those bang calls with the pace of a basketball game.
How does this game impact maybe positive momentum as you get towards a big one at St. Mary's?
Yeah, I mean, we have 7 games left in conference, and we got that conference tournament. So really, our messaging in terms of talking to the guys and our objectives and our goals don't change, which is we want to be playing our best basketball, when we step into that conference tournament in Las Vegas, because if we're going to have an opportunity to play in the postseason, we're going to have to go on a run. We're not in a position where, we're going to get in that large bid, obviously. We're still fighting to try and get a bye in the conference tournament, and today would have gone a long way towards creating some momentum to try and get a top 4 spot. But at the end of it, we've got to continue to play well, and we had a tough loss at UOP that we let get away, and UOP is undefeated at home this season, and so that shows that what we're capable of. And again, tonight this afternoon against Oregon State, we had a lead, we let get away. We've come back in games and been on the other side of that, and that's basketball. And so the key is shoring up the elements that go into defeat, and that's really eliminating those miscues and doing the things. 20 turnovers. It's going to be tough to win a basketball game when you have 20 turnovers. We had 7 shutouts where you get 3 consecutive stops or more, and the vast majority of the time when you have 7 shutouts in a game, you're going to win. We held them to 40% from the field, which is, if not the best, one of the best field goal percentage defensive performances of the season, and we are +5 on the boards for the 5th time in 6 games. So there are a lot of positive things happening. Having that stretch where Ty Lower was out, but then we went on a run to actually get a lead and had control of the game before it slipped away from us. So disappointing. You know, I couldn't fake the funk, as we say, in the locker room after the game, other than, hey, we got to get better. And after a win or a loss, that's what the objective is, coming back to the next practice and getting ready for the next game. So that's our focus right now, is on getting better, as tough as this one is. And also use the kind of bitter taste that a loss or a defeat like this leaves in your mouth, and use it as a catalyst, as motivation to get better.
Just real quick, what do you know about that St. Mary's squad that you're going to face on Wednesday?
Well, we'll start to do a deeper dive now and then, but I've known Randy Bennett for close to 4 decades now. Matter of fact, I met him at the University of San Diego during a summer basketball camp when he was on Hank Egan's staff as an assistant coach, and actually called on his behalf and recommended him for the job at St. Mary's, and spent 2 hours on the phone with their athletic director. And so I respect him, and he's one of the best coaches in the country, and they've got that Gales program rolling. And so we know that they're on an annual basis at the top of the league, knocking on the door to get to NCAA tournaments on a frequent basis. And he's kind of reinvented, himself, this team. And but they, at the end of it, they take care of the basketball. They get great looks at the basket. They put you in multiple pick and rolls within the same possession. They pound the boards. They play great position defense. And so they're always very difficult. They're an airtight, efficient, team offensively, and they're very physical and stout at the defensive end of the court. And they're an excellent rebounding team. So we'll have our hands full.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, you got it.